Good
Good
morning.
morning. When the buttons work, I'm so relieved.
This is my first live, so it's exciting.
What? Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, it's very casual. It's just an opportunity for us to get to know you and your work and your amazing studio, which I saw just you opened August 1st.
August
I mean, you have a
1st.
baby studio.
Yes. Super thrilled. Let me tell you a little bit about the journey.
Yes, please,
Um,
please.
I had this idea for a couple of years, but before I opened a studio, I really thought it was important to deepen my own practice. And I did my yoga teacher training with a studio that is based out of Texas, where I used to live. That was an intensive in Costa Rica in March. So I was there for about 21 days. It was truly heaven. I didn't want to leave. Like being able to do yoga every day, diving into
Yeah.
history and philosophy, and then coming back to the craziness of the world. But
Mm,
anyway, once I got back at the end of March, I sat down on April 1st. I
mm,
began writing my business plan.
mm,
I created the LLC and I got the business tax ID number. And then I was off and rolling from there looking for spaces, and was lucky to. This space was one of the first that I saw, and I thought it was too good to be true. So I went and I looked at a dozen more spaces around Bed-Stuy, but no, I kept coming back to the one where we're located, and it was like, yes, this is it. This is this place where we're going to build this community.
Wow. And you have a beautiful location. You're right on the corner. The pictures are beautiful with the hardwood floors, the sunlight is
Yeah,
coming in. I mean, and sometimes it happens like that, right? It's the first one, it clicks. But I love that you had to keep looking, right? You're like, is this really
right.
gonna happen?
Right, you're right. That corner lot is amazing. And so, right at the corner of Ralph Avenue and Jefferson Avenue and Bedford Stuyvesant. And so, it creates this great visual appeal from many, many directions. And one of the first things that I wanted to do was to change that facade. So, we had it painted all black
Mm,
and did the white lettering for it to really, really pop. And I talked to a lot of our community members who joined us. It's like, well, how did you learn about us? And it's like,
mm.
I was walking by. It's like, when did this get here?
Yeah.
Because I signed the lease on July 2nd. And within 30 days, I had us open. And the key selling points were those wood
Mm,
floors, like they were ready
mm.
to go.
Yeah.
And it has this beautiful recessed lighting that is dimmable. And so, really perfect to create a great atmosphere and ambiance for a yoga
Mm.
practice.
And I love that. So share with us. So you said you started your journey in Texas. So how do you get from Texas to Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn? That's a big jump, right? So how
Right.
did that happen?
And that's only the middle part of the journey. So I'm actually originally from Cleveland, Ohio. That's where I was born and
Yeah.
raised. Yeah, and I spent the first half of my life in Ohio. I went to college at Ohio State, and
Mm-hmm.
that's actually where I began my yoga journey.
Mm-hmm.
My senior year, as my college career was ending,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to take as many rigorous courses.
Right.
And one of the last courses I took at Ohio State was a yoga class.
Wow.
And that was my first foray into yoga. And funny enough, the yoga mat that I bought for that class almost 20 years ago, I still have that mat. So that mat has been a part of my journey this entire time as
Right.
well. My mom was originally from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the internet in the computer age, she found her dad, who she had lost contact with because her parents split,
Yeah.
family moved to Ohio. She found him in Texas. There wasn't a lot of positive things going on for our family
Mm-hmm.
in Ohio. And so she
Mm-hmm.
decided, hey, I'm going to move to Texas to be
Mm-hmm.
closer to my father. And she called me when I was at college. She said, okay, I'm moving to Texas and I'm taking all of your siblings with me. I was
Right.
like, well, then I'm moving to Texas too.
Right.
There's
Right.
nothing in Ohio because I'm actually the oldest of eight.
Wow.
And so I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, then let's go. We all moved to
Right.
Texas. And that's where I began my career in education. I was a middle
Wow.
school and high school English
Wow.
teacher. And I used to work part time for a tech company as a high school teacher.
Wow.
And I ended up getting a role full time for them. And that's what moved me to New York City
Mm.
a little over 6 years ago.
Okay.
So that's the short version of my journey.
Right. Right. And I love that. So you've started in education and now you're in yoga. So how did you then make that jump? Like you decided to go, because opening a yoga studio, that's a huge step.
Yeah.
I love having these conversations with yoga studio owners because no one does this to get rich, to get famous, right? You have to really love to do anything in wellness. You have to love what you do so much. So how did you decide? What was the impetus to go actually starting a yoga studio?
Yep. So, um, after the pandemic, a lot of yoga studios were closing, and there were a couple of studios that I was going to where one of the things that was really important to me was creating a community for us, for Black and Brown
Mm,
folks, to really feel welcome and safe and a place where we were really included in the practice.
yeah.
And for me, as I was continuing my practice here in Bed-Stuy, I was leaving my
Mm,
neighborhood to go to other studios. And then when I got there, I still didn't see the community that I was looking
yeah.
for. And part of that was I was driving by the space that I'm currently in now. And I kept thinking, wow, it would be great if there was a yoga studio
Yeah.
there. But also, would it have the community that I'm looking
Mm,
for? And so that's
mm,
when I began to realize that if I can't find the community, why don't I begin to build it myself? And that's what we're trying to do at Noir Yoga.
yeah. And how did you land on your name? Noir Yoga.
Yeah.
You could have named it anything, right? And I'm sure that that process is a lot, although maybe not for you because you found your space like that. So I bet your name might have been a quite fast journey for you.
So I was inspired by actually a corporate BRG, a business resource
Mm,
group,
mm,
whose name was Noir Assemblage
mm,
or Black Assembly.
mm,
And I was like, Noir is French for
mm,
black. And I
mm,
thought it was really, really beautiful. And I was
mm,
like, that's the name because I knew I wanted a studio and I hadn't yet come up with the name and I had been playing with different names. But when I
mm.
heard that Noir, I was like, that's it. That's the name of the studio,
Yeah.
Noir Yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how has it been now that you've been open for a couple of months? How is the experience? I saw that you had a Black Yoga Teachers conference at
Yes.
your studio right when you opened.
Yes. And so it was really important for me because we're community centered
Mm,
and we're trying to build a community, especially among our people,
mm,
was to bring other Black yogis together to talk about how we build community
yeah,
through this practice. And so it was like one of the last pre-launch events.
right,
We got in the space, but it was before we officially opened and started
right,
classes. So it was like the
right.
weekend before.
Yeah.
We had about 10 yogis from New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania
Wow.
come through. We
Yeah.
spent an entire day talking about community,
Yeah.
practicing yoga, meditation, sound therapy, and it was really, really powerful. So much so that that was now the inaugural event. That's going to be something I look to do every year from here on out. Is bringing Black yoga instructors and
Mm,
those who are allies of our community together to talk about ways to continue to build community.
mm,
So that was that pre-launch event, and then we opened
yeah.
up on August 1st. I've been putting a little bit of buzz out in the social media, especially here on
Yeah.
Instagram, just getting
Yeah.
the word out that we're coming, we're coming.
Yeah.
And honestly, now I continue to
Mm,
pinch myself
mm,
because the community is showing up
yeah.
and they are showing out. One of the
Yeah.
things that I'm most proud of as I see one of my instructors here
Yeah.
is the group of instructors that I've been able to get to be a part of Noir Yoga. We have
Mm,
over 90%
mm,
POC at our
mm,
studio.
yeah.
That is something that is super important to me.
Mm,
So we mirror the community that we're serving,
yeah.
and we understand what we need in this practice.
Yeah.
And the community has been responding very well to that as well. And so I think we saw almost 600 unique clients in our first month.
Ah, that's
Mind
amazing.
blowing, mind blowing. Exceeded every one of my expectations.
Yeah.
And also some goals that I was setting for our little boutique studio, black owned studio here in
Yeah.
Brooklyn was
Mm,
membership. Membership is
mm,
really important to sustaining a yoga studio and a
yeah.
yoga studio being able to be
Yeah.
successful. I had set a milestone for us to hit in January of 2025.
Mhm.
We hit that milestone in the first month.
Wow.
And so out the gates, we're off and running,
Yeah.
and we're doing a really solid job. And I want to continue to support the community and bring things that they need. And so I'm just super, super happy. One of the pieces of feedback we continue to
Yeah.
hear over and over, this space was so sorely needed.
Mm,
We needed this space.
yeah.
And then the feedback, the written feedback we get from our community members is how inclusive the
Mm,
instructors are, the
mm,
energy that they bring to the practice.
yeah.
And they also love the playlist. So
Right.
that's good too.
Yeah. When you had that community of teachers when you first opened and the conference that you had, what was the biggest takeaway from that event? What did you hear the most from the other teachers, and what going forward did you want to see in your studio and in the
So,
community in general, I would say? I
yeah,
mean, it's a
I
big
think
question, but
a couple of the biggest takeaways is recognizing, and this was for me too, is
mm,
recognizing that we are not alone. We might be
mm,
small in
right,
number, or there's a perception of us small in number,
right,
but we are not alone. We are there, and we are better together.
mm,
When we come
mm,
together,
yep,
we can really make some amazing things happen. And so we were there to learn with each other, we were there to inspire each other, and then we were there to share nuggets of wisdom that we
mm,
could go take back to our practices. And so thinking about ways to leverage these tools that we get from yoga that we can benefit those in the Black community. So whether it's breath
right,
work or meditation or mindful movement or mindful stillness, there's
mm,
power in being intentionally still and slowing down in our lives. Those are
yeah,
some of the key
yeah.
takeaways.
And it's amazing. I mean, when you live in a city, I'm born and raised in New York City. And when you have these opportunities for stillness within an urban environment, it's such a gift and it's such a beautiful thing to be able to have in your life. And it's so necessary, especially I feel like when we live in cities, we need it even more. I
Yeah,
went up to New Hampshire for a beautiful yoga festival, and I literally said, there are so many trees. So many trees. Like everyone was laughing at me, but I live in New York City. Like I grew up with concrete all the time, and
yeah.
just to have this beautiful environment, but we can have that in our practice, right? We can have those moments of stillness and beauty. And I love that you're bringing it to the community and that it is so inclusive. I'm so excited to see that this is happening. So thank you so much for your amazing work. Is there anything that you would like to see in the future for yoga? Like, what do you envision that to be?
I don't want anyone to feel the way I felt in
Mm,
certain yoga studios and in certain yoga communities. Unfortunately, oftentimes I am the only one.
mm,
And what I mean is that I'm the only Black male in a practice,
yeah,
and that can feel isolating.
yeah,
And you can feel alone. I don't want anyone to feel that. And sometimes it's implicit, sometimes it's explicit,
mm,
but to exclude a member of the community, then they don't feel welcome. And then they might feel like
right,
the practice is not for them. I
right,
want everyone to know that this practice is for you.
yeah,
And one of the big eye opening things for me coming into yoga was an understanding that this is more than a physical
mm,
practice, because I do believe when I initially started yoga, I was there for the physical benefits.
yeah,
But now I stay in yoga for the mental benefits and for the
yeah,
spiritual benefits and what it does for my psyche emotionally.
yeah,
I have never regretted a moment on the mat
mm,
because it renews me, it rejuvenates me, and it makes me more whole. And then I'm
yeah.
ready to tackle this crazy world that we live in.
And I saw on your website that, for me, accessibility is so important to what we do. And I see that it's in your studio as well, because it's not just making the practice accessible to everybody, it's financial accessibility, right? So that's a big component too when we talk about accessibility. So you offer classes that are pay what you can, which I think that can deter a lot of people. There's a reality to a business side of yoga that you have to pay your teachers well, you have to pay your rent, but how do you make it also accessible to the community as well? We're in tough times for a lot of people right now, so you do offer those classes as well, and I love that you do that.
Yeah, our Noir community flow classes, those are
Mm,
donation based. And
yeah.
so, like you said, it's pay what you can. And if you can't pay, you don't have to pay. And we offer those every Tuesday and Thursday
Mm,
from 1:30 to 2:30. And I was really proud to partner with Link NYC. So
mm,
we're on a few of those Link digital billboards in our community.
wow.
And all this month, that class is being
Yeah.
promoted. So folks in the community will pop up and they see, oh wait, there's donation-based yoga in my
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's been one of our really popular classes. And I'm really happy because
Yeah.
that's what it's for, to make this practice accessible to everyone. And finances shouldn't be a barrier to taking advantages of the benefits of yoga.
Yeah. And I love that when I see students do that, I'm so happy to see that because in New York City, classes can cost 30, 40, $50. But there's a reality, right? Your rent, you have to pay your rent, you have to do all these things. So it's so important. And I think also when we talk about accessibility, different styles of yoga. So you do offer a wide range. So not everyone can or wants to do a power
Yeah.
vinyasa. So there's the yin offerings that you have and all the other things. So I know you said the community-based classes were popular. What are the other popular classes that you offer?
Speaking of yin has been really, really popular as well. And
Yeah,
right now we're offering it only on weekends, on
yeah,
Saturday and Sundays. But that yin and restore that we offer
yeah,
on Saturdays in the late afternoon, it's
yeah.
been one of our most popular classes.
Wow.
I think folks are looking to wind down
Yeah,
before they start the rest of their week. And honestly, to my surprise,
yeah.
I was a little nervous, but no. People are like, this is what I
Yeah,
want. I want to be able
yeah,
to slow
yeah,
down, to take some deep stretching, to go to my edge, but not too far.
yeah.
And so that's been really cool. And then obviously, our our early morning classes, our flows have been popular, and then our late class flows have been popular as well. So
Wow.
people who are starting their day or people who are ending their day
Yeah.
with that flow. But even within there, all of our instructors are really, really great at being inclusive, offering options and
Mm,
variations and leveraging props and things like that to meet folks where they are. And we provide mats,
mm,
blocks, blankets, straps, all for free for our community. So
wow.
all they have to do is show up and we take care of the rest.
Yeah. And I've noticed, and I think maybe it has a little bit to do with this post-pandemic landscape we're in, that this self-care and this slowing down is still something I see in a lot of people and my friends and my family as well, that we still want to nurture ourselves. And the days of power vinyasa and getting through everything, they're still there. We still have those moments, right? But we also are including these beautiful, slower, more meditative practices. And thank goodness, that we're allowing ourselves the space to just be still. I love that it's happening. What's the future for your studio? Expansion? You do want to stay where you are, teacher trainings?
Yes, 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 obvious. One of the things I'll tell you that I'm super excited about is we will be offering a new class that I'm going to announce here first. So at the end of every month, the last Saturday of every month, we're going to offer Noir Beginnings.
Mm,
And so we'll go back to foundations
yeah,
of the yoga
yeah,
practice. And that's for anyone who may be new to yoga or anyone who's looking to just go take a step back and really be intentional about poses and
yeah,
sequences and salutations and just some of the basics. And so that's going to be something that's we offer every last Saturday of the month, starting later this month. And
yeah.
so look out for that. One of the cool things about our space is we actually have 1,000 square feet upstairs
Mm.
and 1,000 square feet downstairs.
Oh, I didn't know you had two levels. I only saw the bottom in all your photos. You got to put more pictures
Well, we
up.
haven't been able to
Yeah,
leverage that space
yeah,
yet. I wasn't initially able to get down there. And
yeah.
then once I did, one of the things we recognize is the ceiling's a little short. So so we won't have traditional classes down there, but
Right,
we are ideating right now around
right.
a few ways to leverage that downstairs
Mm,
space. One way is to do maybe like a heated yin and restore
mm,
in that lower space. Another thing
yeah,
that we're looking at is offering amenities like stretch therapy or
mm,
massage therapy down there.
yeah.
And then On the roadmap, we will have retreats that we offer in upstate New York as well as out of
Yeah.
country. And then hopefully by the end of year one, we'll be talking about offering our first yoga teacher training to help others deepen their practice.
So much great stuff. I love that it's happening. If someone came to you and said, "I love what you're doing. I want to open a yoga studio." What would be the biggest takeaway, the biggest piece of advice that you've learned that you would want to share?
So, funny enough, I'm literally building this plane as I'm flying it. This this is my
Yeah.
first entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah.
This is my first yoga studio.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would recommend, and this is what I'm doing, is because especially here in New York City, there are a wealth of resources for small business owners and entrepreneurs. And I am tapping into every resource that is
Yeah.
available. So I have a business advisor from Pace
Mhm.
University who is a part of their small business development program.
Wow.
I tap into resources from New York City for small businesses.
Mhm.
They do a lot of webinars on Eventbrite. I've gone
Mm.
to free sessions about marketing, free
Mhm.
sessions around bookkeeping, free sessions on like how do you set up a
Right.
business
Right.
and
Right.
how which type of entity do you do.
Mhm.
I've signed up for a session that's going to talk more about search engine optimization for your website so
Yeah.
that folks can find your community.
Yeah.
Tap into those free resources. I've tapped into free legal resources. I needed someone to look over the contract from the landlord,
Yeah.
making sure that they were not trying to rip me off.
Right.
And those free resources have been invaluable. I've also partnered with other fitness owners
Mm.
who've been down this road
Yeah.
before, and I'm using them as mentors to learn things. And I'm gonna make mistakes, but I'm trying to avoid as many of them as possible
Yeah.
by tapping into these different resources.
Yeah. And that's such a good reminder too that there is so much in any community that you live in. There are a lot of local business resources that people forget or just don't really find the time to use. But there is a reality that you are running a business, right? So being well versed and learning from the people that have gone down this road is super, super helpful. So I love that you're sharing that with everyone. And I encourage everyone who ever wants to open a studio to do that, right? Like do it, open the studio, but also get as many tools as you can,
Yes,
like with anything in life, right?
yes, because
Set
I do
yourself
hope
up.
for us to be around a long time,
Yeah.
and I would love for this to be the first Noir Yoga, but not the
Yeah.
last.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Mason. Anything else you'd like to share with us before you go? I'm so excited that you've joined our community, and I'm so grateful for studios like you that support the work that we are doing. So we appreciate you, and we want to support you any way we can. So thank you so much.
No,
Do you want to share? You have a class tonight, actually, that is
yes,
really
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, actually, I was really excited to find the work that you're doing mirrors the work that we wanted to do, and so we are a proud supporter of Yoga Love magazine. So thank you for that work. Tonight, I'm actually hosting a workshop, Yoga for Black Men, helping us use these tools to strengthen and heal our physical, mental, and spiritual selves. So I'm super excited about that from at 5 o'clock tonight. And then outside of that, I would just love for folks to connect with us here on Instagram if they are in the Brooklyn area. Meet us on the mat. Uh,
Mm.
Let us go on a journey with you, no matter where you are. If you're a beginner or if you're a seasoned veteran, we have a place for you at Noir Yoga. Our whole goal is to cultivate community through mindful movement, but we cannot have community without you.
Ah, perfectly said. I'm going to share this on our page and I'll send you the link as well. It'll be on our YouTube as well. And check out the amazing work that you're doing everywhere. I know this isn't the last we're going to hear from you. I feel big things coming and I'm so excited to be at the start of this journey with you. Thank you, Dr. Mason. And check out this. You're going to do it again, right? This workshop, this that you're doing today is ongoing, right?
Yeah, we'll do more.
Great.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks so much for having me. Great
Take care.
conversation.
Thank you so much.